Welcome. I hope you've enjoyed the Lean Global Connection so far. My name is Meja Goodman. I'm with the Lean Enterprise Institute in the United States, and it's my pleasure to welcome today Steve Bell. Steve has an extensive background in technology, and he's also been a longtime friend and faculty member at LEI. He now focuses on using Lean in NGOs and nonprofits. And he's a great example that there are, in fact, good people out there doing great things. So welcome, Steve Bell.
Thank you, Meja. Thank you very much. And while I'm shifting over, I'll say I believe very passionately that anyone like myself who practices Lean and believes in its principles is also just naturally a humanitarian from the start. So I'm going to jump right in. I've got quite a bit of content. I'm going to basically cover a little bit of background on NGOs and nonprofits and the challenges they face and how Lean and Agile principles can help. First of all, I'd like to say I'm grateful that you've all chosen to invest your time here. And during the next half an hour, I'll explore how these communities of Lean and Agile and the NGOs and nonprofits in the world can work together. So here we go. Oops. Okay, got the buttons working. So let's begin with why I believe Lean and Agile are especially important today. Most everyone on the planet is aware that suddenly the world has changed. We're now living in VUCA, where daily events are volatile, uncertain, complex, and often unambiguous. The most urgent challenges we face, represented here by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, can't be solved by private industry, government, or technology innovation alone. I believe it's the global NGO community that can help focus and orchestrate our global efforts and expertise on finding sustainable solutions for the coming years. And I believe that the Lean and Agile practitioners can help NGOs do this more effectively and efficiently. Here are a few examples of very large NGOs that engage in very diverse activities under very difficult conditions. While they share many of the same challenges as large commercial organizations, NGOs also have many unique challenges as well, which we'll explore in a moment. Lean and Agile practice have evolved over decades to be effective in large commercial organizations, and now it's time to accelerate the adoption of these practices across the NGO world. It's helpful to think about NGOs in terms of large and small and how they often work together. Large NGOs often develop approaches from a global perspective, working with smaller NGOs across many locations to test and learn what works in diverse local conditions. Because of the complex, interdependent nature of the many challenges described by the United Nations goals, it's often not possible to address one problem without consideration for the others. For example, children can't attend school if they're sick, or if they're hungry, thirsty, or if they must work every day in the fields, or searching for food or firewood, or carrying water, or scavenging the garbage dumps, just to sustain their families. NGOs therefore often work together in extended partnerships with other NGOs, along with various governments and private organizations, creating significant challenges for management and coordination of their activities and resources to address these complex issues holistically. These continuous learning loops of management systems, collaboration, and communication help the NGO ecosystem to adapt and scale these solutions across the planet and respond to sudden crises. In such a complex operating environment, there are clearly many opportunities for continuous improvement and innovation that we're going to discuss today. Here are many of the unique challenges that large NGOs often face. Then there are many small NGOs and nonprofits around the world who focus on regional or local issues, who have their own unique challenges as well. And finally, there are the countless individuals, teams, and organizations on the front lines. These are highly intelligent, motivated, and resourceful human beings, often living under very difficult conditions. It's our responsibility to help them with their immediate needs, while developing their capability to be independent and sustainable. A key premise of lean and agile practice is to act as servant leaders, not doing things for them or to them, but helping them solve problems and create a better future for themselves. Now that we've identified many of the challenges NGOs face, let's briefly explore lean and agile principles and practices. Here's a one-slide overview of Lean and Agile, and I hope those in the Lean and Agile community who are watching this presentation will forgive my brevity and oversimplification. Lean practice began in manufacturing in the 1950s and has spread to nearly every industry around the globe. Lean emphasizes operational excellence through the elimination of waste and the flow of quality and value enabled through problem solving and continuous improvement. Agile practice began in the 1990s in the software industry to improve speed, quality, and cost, and reduce risk of projects under conditions of high uncertainty. And these practices are now used for all types of programs and projects. One of the most widely practiced Agile methods is Scrum. I'll be sharing a story about this soon. Many Agile principles and practices were derived from Lean practice. Lean and Agile are complementary and can work together to help organizations achieve operational and innovation excellence. Lean and Agile share many common principles. Listening to the customer, trusting and engaging frontline teams through continuous visualization, development, delivery, rigorous problem solving, and adaptive management systems. Lean and Agile offer countless practices and tools to address a variety of problems. Many are relatively simple and can be learned quickly by individuals and small teams, while advanced Lean and Agile practices can be very sophisticated and can scale to very large organizations and programs. With just a half an hour, I can't cover these in detail today. Fortunately, you'll find plenty of free information, training, articles, and case studies at the leanagilengo.org website. So now that you have a little information about what Lean and Agile represent, I'd like to share two additional, very unique and significant challenges NGOs often face, in addition to the many general challenges I shared a couple of minutes ago. These are both related to funding and cost control. First is the well-known overhead myth. Many individuals and institutions will simply not donate to an organization that reports more than a very small percentage of overhead costs. The problem is there's no distinction between wasteful overhead and value-adding investments in capability and capacity development, training, process, and system improvements that promote efficiency and effectiveness. This can keep NGOs trapped in a vicious cycle of inefficiency and unsustainable heroic efforts. Fortunately, the elimination of wasteful, non-value-added activity and the development of operational excellence is a focus of Lean practice. Here's a starter playbook for Lean process improvement that can be deployed in large and small NGO environments. These are 7 actions everyone can incorporate in their daily work to improve processes, which will lead to increased organizational performance and contribute to improved outcomes. You can download this article from the Lean Agile NGO library. Now, here's an example of what internally driven process improvement can look like. Several years ago, 2 retired Lean practitioners began offering free workshops in their local community through their Chamber of Commerce. Among the participants was a community mental health organization. No matter how hard the staff of 15 employees worked, they were never able to keep up. From the time an individual called for help, the state required them to have a first visit within 14 days. They missed this target 30% of the time, leaving many urgent calls for help going unanswered. After a series of short workshops, the staff improved their client intake process. As a result, they were able to respond to a call for help and offer an initial visit the next day, which was often too fast for the clients who may need to get time off work, arrange for transportation, or childcare. The staff made this dramatic improvement without adding staff or work hours or investing in new software. They simply mapped and measured their process and removed those things that were getting in the way. The moral of this story is that lean practitioners expect to find plenty of waste in every process: delays, quality problems, unclear communication, inadequate documentation and training, unnecessary reporting meetings, and so on. Waste is what happens when good people struggle with bad processes, and lean practice helps good people develop and sustain good processes. The second systemic challenge I want to call attention to has to do with overly rigid program and project controls, often required, especially by large institutional investors like the United Nations, the World Bank, USAID, and others. Now, it's understandable that these institutions want to keep projects under tight control and compliance. However, the Agile community has learned that, paradoxically, excessive rigidity and control can be harmful, causing projects to take too long, cost too much, and miss their intended targets, which are often moving. Too much inflexibility can cause a project to tunnel deep down a dead end and fail. Agile practice offers a wealth of tools and methods that focus on a mindset of iterative, emergent learning, helping teams to quickly and efficiently adapt and deliver valuable outcomes under conditions of uncertainty, rapid change, and risk. To show you what this looks like, I'd like you to meet Sarah Unia. She's the social impact leader at Scrum, Inc., the organization founded by Dr. Jeff Sutherland, the co-creator of the Agile method called Scrum, which is practiced around the world. The child of 2 United Nations workers with over 8 years of experience working in sub-Saharan Africa, Sarah Unia brings deep experience and insight working in the NGO world. In 2022, the United Nations Refugee Agency was facing a common set of hurdles: adapting to new technology, improving team coordination, and fostering unity while working to address a rapidly expanding global refugee crisis. Instead of just finding quick fixes to immediate problems, they aimed for a deeper change, transforming how they work together. Their journey began by ditching the jargon and focusing on what mattered to them: working better together. Through interactive online sessions, they broke down barriers of distance and time, making sure every voice was heard. They dove deep into understanding their team's unique needs, followed by a hands-on workshop focusing on smarter planning and collaboration. It wasn't just about learning new tools, it was about learning new ways to think and work together. There's plenty of detail here we can't cover in today's brief session, so I want to call your attention to new work practices at the bottom. First, they focused on an iterative, outcome-oriented, and flexible approach to projects, otherwise known as Scrum. And they emphasized leveraging modern digital tools for remote teams, something we've all become familiar with in a post-COVID world, and we need to get better at to improve our global reach and responsiveness while reducing costs and carbon emissions. The outcomes of this effort speak for themselves. Sure, the work became more efficient, but more importantly, they witnessed a cultural shift within their team. They transitioned to a work approach that was not only more flexible and responsive, but also one that cultivated stronger problem-solving abilities. Communication and coordination with the team were also strengthened, which enriched their organizational culture, making them more resilient, adaptable, and collaborative. I think we can all agree that this was not wasteful overhead, but a valuable investment in the future. Thanks, Sarah Unia, Jeff, and JJ Sutherland for providing this case study. And by the way, Jeff, you've been a supporter of Lean Agile NGO since its formation many years ago. And you were also a passionate advocate of microfinance, which everyone is going to learn about in a moment. I appreciate your continued dedication at Scrum Inc. to social impact. Now that we've seen examples of Lean and Agile in action, I'd like to offer a simple way to think about Lean and Agile, about the fundamental human principles that make them so successful. In 2009, Daniel Pink published the best-selling book, Drive, The Surprising Truth About What Motivates Us, where he proposed there are three things that contribute to high-performance teams. First is a strong sense of purpose shared by all team members, which guides their decisions and actions. Second is autonomy, knowing they own the process and the problem and they're responsible for the solution, and that the rest of the organization is there to support them. Third is mastery, that each team member knows whatever special skill they bring to the table, they are able to develop it and have a sense of pride in making a valuable contribution to the outcome. Now I'd like to share two stories of my firsthand experience on the front lines and what purpose, autonomy, and mastery really look like. In 2006, Dr. Muhammad Yunus, an economist in Bangladesh, was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for developing the practice of microfinance. With microfinance, NGOs provide very small loans to individuals, historically 85% of whom are women, along with necessary training and the formation of local borrowing groups. And with the help of weekly visits from a support team, together they solve problems. Inspired by this global phenomenon, I joined Rotary International and became a founding board member of the International Rotarian Action Group for Microcredit, where I had the opportunity to experience the magic of microfinance firsthand in many countries for several years. I personally saw microfinance help countless individuals overcome the gravitational pull of money lenders who enrich themselves by keeping their clients trapped in an endless cycle of poverty. And it often turned women in these communities into respected leaders. For example, I met this woman in Honduras who, with a loan of $50, bought a sewing machine and some fabric and began making school uniforms for the children in her village. Within a few months, she had paid back her loan and had enough working capital to expand her sewing business and support her family. These experiences further reinforced my belief that purpose, autonomy, and mastery, and the principles of Lean and Agile work for individuals as well as large and small organizations. The principles at work, first of all, microcredit is not a charity, it's a loan, which creates a sense of dignity and pride of ownership and a responsibility to pay the loan back. Those in the community know where the needs are greatest. We're there to help them by providing capital and the training necessary to help them become successful business people. We emphasize long-term capability that turns out developing the capability not of just those receiving the lenders, but their families and the community. And we develop the overall problem-solving capability. When you see one of these borrowing groups huddled together, talking about their problems and solving them together, you're reminded of a lean stand-up or an agile team huddle, a daily event where everyone comes together and figures out what they're going to do next and focus on. This microcredit grows stronger people, families, and communities from within. And it was this experience with microcredit that turned me around, and I started Lean Agile NGO in the first place many years ago. Oh, by the way, if anyone's interested, kiva.org is a great place for Christmas gifts or birthday gifts, where you can actually give someone a loan that they can watch help the local community that it's donated into. So give Kiva a look. That's just a little advertisement for Kiva on the side there. The second story starts in 2013 when Karen and I were invited by Grameen Foundation, an offshoot of Dr. Yunus's Grameen Bank, and their institutional funder, Google Corporation, to visit Uganda for a one-week workshop to help improve their community knowledge worker program. Grameen Foundation needed to refine and standardize their processes so they could spread and scale the program from their Ugandan pilot to other African countries. The community knowledge worker program hired people from the local villages, trained them, equipped them with smartphones, and deployed them on weekly village visits. Grameen Foundation was bringing this knowledge directly to rural Ugandans, and developing the knowledge worker capabilities inside those communities rather than creating a dependency on outside experts. We began the week with a visit to 2 remote villages where we were impressed with the sophistication of how they had leveraged this program. These community knowledge workers provided villagers with real-time information and helped them solve agricultural problems, weather, water, pests, disease, and market conditions, to name a few, so they could improve their community's livelihood. Along the way, these community knowledge workers also provided information and assistance with other important issues like women's health and children's education. We spent the rest of the week in the business office in Kampala, providing a hands-on Lean, Agile, and Scrum workshop to the operations and technology development teams. For a full presentation of what we learned and what we achieved, I invite you to watch this 30-minute presentation by Grameen Foundation's CIO, Dr. Halud Oda, and myself at the 2013 Lean IT Summit in Paris. Finally, I'd like you to meet Dr. Andrew Paris. Andrew earned his PhD in engineering from the MIT Lean Aerospace program, and he now brings Lean practice to the NGO front lines. After several years with World Vision, he's now the Director of Continuous Improvement for MedAir, a Swiss NGO that delivers services to the crisis-stricken areas around the world. Andrew not only has tremendous frontline experience in the field, he's also a prolific writer. His publications can be found in the Lean and Agile NGO library. Andrew has already given his presentation for the Lean Global Connection today, and if you missed it, you'll be able to view it soon once it's posted online. So what do you take away from these ideas and stories I've shared today? I hope that you have a sense that Lean and Agile practices probably have something of value and that you'd like to learn more. On this page, I've summarized what I believe are the key takeaways. I'll pause for a moment so you can read through them yourself. So let's say that you like what you've heard so far and you'd like to know what you might be able to do next. Well, if you're an NGO contributor, consider these steps. Join leanagilengo.org, learn and share together. Become part of the growing community. Perhaps you'll choose to learn a simple practice or select a specific problem you'd like to address to get you started on your journey. It's important to understand that while many Lean and Agile practices may be simple, they're not often easy. Life has a way of making simple things difficult to do. Like any other skill, learning a sport, a language, or a musical instrument, it takes practice, and it helps to have a coach to guide you. That's why Lean Agile NGO is helping bring NGOs and coaches together. If you would like to take Lean or Agile to the next level across your entire organization, here are some thoughts Andrew has provided to help you get started and to ask the right questions. For another perspective on this journey for a larger organization, I encourage you to read a short article by Dr. Jeffrey Liker, one of the original founders of the Lean method, titled Strategies for Deploying Lean, which you'll find in the Lean and Agile NGO library. You'll also find a video of an interview I conducted with Jeffrey Liker and Andrew Paris together. If you're a Lean or Agile coach or would like to become one, there are several avenues for you to consider. If you're part of a company with a formal Lean or Agile program, encourage them to find an NGO or nonprofit to adopt as part of your Good Corporate Citizen program. It's not just a good way to give back to society, it's a fabulous way to provide your coaching and training staff with rewarding learning experiences working in the community. Also consider creating a Lean or Agile club in your local community and adopt a local nonprofit to help. The founders of the Lean Portland Group from Portland, Oregon, USA, are also presenting at this year's Lean Global Connection event, sharing the story of their community organization, which started in 2011, about the local fellowships they've created and the local nonprofits they've served. And finally, if you're a skilled lean coach and wish to get more involved, I encourage you to visit lean360.org, a global remote volunteer program created by Dr. Andrew Paris and working with Hansha.org. So this concludes the presentation today, and I would like to thank Maja, my host today, as well as the entire Lean Global Network, and Roberto for all your hard work to make this happen, and especially providing a long list of Lean for Social Good presentations, which you see on the screen now. All of these presentations will be available for streaming for free. The links will be posted at the address shown here and on the Lean Agile website soon. Now, I'm sorry that I probably have no time left for questions today, but if you have a question or a comment, please send me an email. I'll be happy to communicate with you. Thank you again. I'm grateful for the time you've invested here today, and I hope you found this not only interesting, but useful and inspiring.
Steve, thank you so much. I don't see any questions coming in, so perhaps people are chewing on this and they'll come back with questions later on. Just a reminder that you can email Steve. I have a question. Let's say somebody wants to approach a nonprofit. They believe that they could be helpful. They're familiar with Lean or Agile or both. What advice do you give when it comes to approaching a nonprofit? Can we just go in and say, hey, I can make you do your job better. Come talk to me. How should we approach?
It's really an interesting question, and I'll try and answer it quickly. It depends on who your friend at the NGO is, the nonprofit. If they're in senior leadership, it would be very helpful for you to have a conversation with them about what the long-term Lean journey work looks like, so that they understand what this is all about. You don't want them to start spreading promises and expectations around the organization only to get into it 3 months later and solve a problem and suddenly go, wow, there's a lot more to this. You don't want to do that to them. On the other hand, if you have someone at the nonprofit that just has a problem and they need some help solving it, you can step in and help them go through the same things that we would do with any commercial client, value stream analysis, problem solving, Kaizen, all of those activities, and help them develop those capabilities within their team focused on that problem. That you need to pave the way so that the rest of the organization understands what they're doing and they get some leadership support. Otherwise, a Lean effort like that, a grassroots effort under the radar, can sometimes hit some pretty big roadblocks. So you want to make sure that's covered. And eventually, when this team solves the problem and gets an idea of what the bigger Lean journey is, they can be the ones to show the way and help lead the rest of the organization to that. So there's really two entry points, but we just want to make sure in the end, when we have developed with someone in a nonprofit, the confidence that they think this Lean thing is going to work, that they understand it's a long-term journey. It really is a cultural transformation. It's a very different way about thinking and engaging with your people and your customers, and everything about the way your organization thinks and acts. I hope that was a useful enough answer.
Yes, thank you, Steve. I can see some parallels between the ideas behind microlending and that approach with introducing and getting Lean started in an organization or in a community.
And microcredit's wonderful. I'm just going to make a personal challenge to you, Maja. If you have a person out there who you'd like to give a $25 gift of a loan, that they can follow the family and what they're doing with it. And when that family pays it off, that loan goes back into the pool and goes to someone else over and over and over. That's quite a gift to give someone.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. Wishing the best to you and to everyone out there in the community.
Thank you.
Bye now.